Jeff, it's really a pleasure to have this opportunity to talk to you, to talk about this new album with Weight, to talk about all what you did, because it is a little incredible. You play in many bands, and you have many projects too. But my first question will be about you. If you can do a little presentation for all the French people in France, of course.
Yeah. We it's Jeff Scott Soto here, and I'm doing a lovely interview talking about the new Wet record and everything else that we want to discuss today. 40 years I've been doing this, so there's a lot to talk about. Thank you for coming.
Thanks really much, Jeff. Yes, 40 years. You did some show. It was in March. I think it was in the Monster of Rock cruise. With some two special show with Soto, but it was also a special thing about your 40 years of career anniversary. How was it?
It was amazing, except it wasn't long enough, because when you're doing any festival, especially on a boat, it's the same with any festival. You don't get to play the full headline set that you normally want to play. The good thing about doing the Monsters of Rock cruise is you get two shows. So the first show I was able to do a selection or collection of songs, and then the second show we were able to change it a little bit as well, because there's so much material in 40 years, as you would imagine. There's a lot of ground to cover, so it was impossible to do it even into two 1 hour shows. And so I'm doing more of that this year, because there were places I couldn't do I wasn't able to do the 40-year anniversary show. So I'm doing more of that this year to celebrate the my God, 4 decades of so much music and so many bands and so many records.
Yeah, you begin in 1985, 1984 with Malmsteen, of course, Rising Force, two albums with him. Who are now some, yeah,
There
who are
was
now some.
as well that you missed.
Yeah, were now some cult album, I will say, legendary album, the beginning of your career. But I see that you will play in May in Brazil with Erik Martensson. You did some show. What do you want? What do you will play with on this tour? It was a tour. There are many gigs. What do you will play? What was the idea behind this tour?
Well, I came up with a concept that Erik was very happy to take on with me. I was already booking. I was planning some shows in Brazil in May, and maybe some other countries in South America. And I noticed Erik Martin was going to be there already with Avantasia. So I thought, Erik, he likes to tour in Brazil as well. And instead of him doing his shows and me doing my shows separately, why don't we combine the two forces together? And I used the mentality of the backup band that I use is also a band in Brazil called Spectra. They just released their second album, but they're also my backup band whenever I play anywhere around the world as a Jeff Scott Soto band. So I thought, I went to Erik with the idea, why don't we join forces, let Spectra open the show doing maybe 3 or 4 of their own songs, and then Erik can go on stage and do 8 or 9 Mr. Big songs. I'll come on stage and do 8 or 9 JSS songs with the same band, same stage, same show, and then bring Erik back on. We finish the show together doing duets on more Mr. Big and more JSS songs, and we make it more of like an extravaganza, more like a festival setting, kind of a Jeff and Erik Palooza kind of thing. And he loved the idea, because we get to do the best of what we want to do in our live set, but we're making it a package show, and I think it's gonna. The people are already going crazy about it. The idea is it's gonna work great. And now to actually be able to do it live, I think it's going to be a really cool thing that we would look into doing in the future. Maybe I can do the same thing with other singers, other artists who do, their own solo tours down there. If we do a combined tour, I think it's an idea that's going to catch on.
Yes, I hope one day you will do the same thing in Europe and perhaps in France. We are, yes, we talking about your new project. It's between a band and a project, WE.T. There is a new album, Apex, very important, very great album. It's a European band with a USA guy. You are in Los Angeles. How do you work on this album this time compared to the last one who came 4 years ago now? How do you work for this time compared to the last one of the writing of the songs and the collaboration with Erik and all the rest of the band?
There was nothing different about the process. It's the same process we've done since day one, because we are not a band where we live in the same city or country, where we get together and write the songs together, where we create, like most bands when they're starting together, they're always in the same room, they're always in the same vicinity. Obviously, I've made a career out of being with bands and other artists that are from different parts of the world, different parts of even my own country, that I don't have to be specifically in their cities or in their towns to make things work. And this is no exception with WE.T. I mean, when you think about, I was with ENGWIE Malmsteen, I was the only American in the band, and then we had TALISMAN, where I was the only American in the band at one point, and now here we are again with WE.T. I'm the only American in the band. So it's kind of the same idea behind it. It's the trifecta of the three Swedish influences and parts of my career and my life. And yeah, we went into this album the same way we did the last ones, where the song ideas come up. We know we're making a new record, so we put our attentions towards it. It's difficult to think about doing shows or writing together and that kind of thing, because everybody is in other bands and we're all so busy and always so doing other things. And the same thing with touring. It's the album was finished over 6 months ago, but now we're touring and doing other things that were booked 6 months ago for our own purposes. So unless we actually sit down and say, okay, now we're going to do a record and make sure you have that open window so we can book a tour, but we just haven't gotten to that yet because everybody's just too busy.
Yeah, yes, of course, because you are very, you are finally, you tell me with Talisman, with a lot of band, I remember with Marcel Jacob, also, you did, you are sort of a European guy in your soul, because all your projects are very, there is a huge link with Europe, some guys from Sweden, from different countries. Do you feel like that a little?
I love that my career is based on so much variety and so many different countries and so many different influences, because, of course, my dream was always to be in one band, to stay in one lane, to brand and build together in one thing. I call it the Metallica effort, or the Metallica factor. I've never been in just one band where I could focus all my energies in that one band, but because I wasn't, it allowed me to tap into so many different things musically. Now we go into the Queen effect. A band like Queen, they were doing so many different spectras of music. They're doing so many different influences and styles. And this is the kind of artist I always dreamed of being. But it's almost impossible to have another Queen, to have a situation where everybody in the band are open to doing everything and anything. So I base my personal career in being able to do everything I want to do with different people. I got the influence of working with South American people, the influence of working with Europeans, with Japanese, Asians, so many different cultures around the world. I get to expand on my own ideas and creativity, things that I normally wouldn't think of doing if I were just in one band.
Yes, you tell me about Queen. You get a project with Queen, a sort of a tribute to Queen. You play some shows. You work with Brian May, also Roger Taylor. How this period? It was, I suppose, it was very important for you to. It's kind of idol for you.
Oh, absolutely.
In a way, Freddie Mercury and everything like that.
Freddie is such an important blueprint in my own DNA, in my own life, in my soul, in my blood, as is the whole band Queen. So clearly, it means a lot to me on an inspirational, influential level. but obviously on a personal level, to be able to say these guys are my friends, I can call them anytime, you know, that's a whole different level of what we were thinking and dreaming of when we were younger. You never imagined that people that you had posters on your walls, you were actually going to be dear friends with. And so, of course, on both sides, the little kid in me is going, oh my God, I can't believe this. This is awesome. Whereas the professional side of me going, this is awesome. So it's, of course, it's very important to have both sides, because I will forever be a fan. I will forever look up to these people as my idols, as my the musical reasons I'm here today. But I also have to remember they are my peers. They are my colleagues. I have to stand next to them. I can't be like the whole time. So
yeah,
you find that nice balance of knowing that you're working with your heroes and you're playing with your heroes, but you also have to, you know, make sure that it works. That it's not too excitable that it's going to take away from the things that you're doing with your colleagues.
Yes, you tell me about your heroes. You work also. You have been the singer of Journey too for many years. I suppose it was a huge experience too to play with Journey. Everybody knows this incredible band and this incredible musician too. What is your feeling about this period, Journey?
The same exact thing as playing with Queen or playing with jamming with Michael Anthony from Van Halen. There's certain people in your life that it's overwhelming to be able to, exactly what I was saying, to be able to stand alongside them and do music with them and to do their songs with them, because obviously you do them so often in your life coming up, as when you're a fan, when you're still learning, when you're still kind of planting your own seeds. So to sing for Journey was a lifelong dream. Of course, I remember the first show that we ever did together was in front of 22,000 people, and there was no rehearsal. There was a 10-minute sound check. It wasn't even a real sound check. It was a line check to make sure I could hear myself, because everybody's using in-ears, and they had to set up these wedges on the floor and put the sound to the stage. They didn't do that before because everybody's using the ears. And I remember going out going, okay, we're gonna test run 3 songs. We're going to go backstage and get changed, and then we're going to go play in front of 22,000 people. In normal circumstances, is, oh my God, this is crazy. What am I doing? But I was so confident because Journey's music is so in my blood. I know every song. I know every lyric. It's not something I have to think about. I just go out there and do what I do as a singer, as a performer, and the rest, it came out organically and naturally. So yes, of course, singing for Journey was an absolute dream, and it was something I will never forget, and it's so important to me even today.
About just a little about weight. There are a lot of many singles, like now on each album there are a lot of singles before the album came. There is a song, Where Are the Heroes? The heroes now. What is the idea behind this the text, this song? Is it about the heroes that you speak to me just now, or about everything else?
I think it's an overall broad statement about it. It could be about my heroes growing up musically. It could be about the ones who run the world, from politics to world leaders. Where are the heroes that we are longing for, that we remember? It could pertain to even a family member. It could pertain to a spouse or a boyfriend or girlfriend, somebody that you look up to that really has a good heart and has a good energy to help people, to become a hero. It's not necessarily about Superman or Spider-Man. It's not about anything in particular. It's about the overall statement of where are the heroes that we feel are necessary to get through life or to get us through our own lives.
You tell me about we speak about that of this album Apex and of all the records, the songs that you record with many artists. I speak to Fanalo, Stefan, who worked with you on his solo album. You record 3 songs with him. How was it to finally to work with a French guitarist? It was a little different. How do you record in your house, of course, but
the beautiful thing about music is there's no real blueprint. There's no, you don't have to say, okay, I'm working with somebody from France now, so that's going to be different from how I would approach it with somebody from Brazil or somebody from Russia. It's, they present their music to me. I hear what they're looking for, what they want. And clearly, they want to work with me because I have a certain sound and a certain identity as well that they were hoping and waiting for me to put onto their songs. So I approach it the same way as I approach working with my next door neighbor. I don't see us as different cultures, different influences and references. I look at it as, here's a great song. Let me try to make it as good as I can in adding what I would normally do to a song. And I don't look at the culture differences. I just look at the song and the music and the musician itself and the personality behind it.
So, and what do you like in the song of Fanalo of Stefan, the guitarist? You are very you like the song because you finally you sing on 3 songs. It was there are some parts instrumental and singing. What do you like on this on this album?
Well, first of all, he's very close with Bumblefoot, and anybody who's close with Bumblefoot, somebody who I admire and respect with 100% of every hair on my body. If you're a friend of his, if you're a colleague of his, that he says this guy is good, I'm going to take his word for it without even hearing, without even listening. I trust Bumblefoot's his level of where he comes from musically. So therefore, I knew immediately I was going to actually really like working with Fanalo. And obviously when I was, this all went down during the lockdown. Everybody's at home. Nobody knows when it's going to end, when we're going to get back to work, when we're going to get to tour again. So I was taking on so many different projects and so many different sessions. And this was just another session on that respect. But what we came up with in the end turned out so good and so well. It's so strong. I really feel, again, I don't look at the differences between our cultures. I looked at what he was doing musically, and it really fit my world and my kind of connection musically. So it went from, yeah, I'll sing on your song, you pay me a few dollars to turn it, and then it turned into, wow, this is really good.
Yes, yes, the album is very good. When you write, when you think about, when you get a project, how do you are many different, you work with many different artists. So is there a special state of mind about the artist when you write for this artist? Do you try special? Is it different to write with Fanalo, Bumblefoot? You are out of, you are a lot of, how do you do to write in a special way in a project, or is it just
It's pretty natural because I mean, we're talking about 40 years of experience I have working in music, working with so many different people. So going into it, I don't think that I think more that I want the person I'm working with to be pleased. I want them to say, oh my God, this is amazing. Fuck yeah, this is killer. I don't think about my own personal feelings behind something. I'm doing it. I love it. I don't care what they think. I always think for the artist. I always think for the person I'm doing the session for. I'm trying to impress them. I'm trying to give them something that they're just going to feel so proud about and get goosebumps when they play it for their friends. That to me is what I'm trying to do when I'm working with other people that I've never done any projects or sessions for. From there, obviously, once I know I've got their approval, then I really amp it up to try and make it something that I feel strongly and something I would listen to, that I would actually be a part of the same. So you start with trying to please the client, and then it turns more into a joint effort where we want to actually please one another with what we're doing musically.
Yes, you tell me about Bumblefoot also. It was you work with him on Son of Apollo, a great band. Some people say that it's a super group. I suppose it was now it's finished. It's finished. Just stopped some years ago, but it was a huge project. How was this experience for you? This is really a great band. Too.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
You speak French. I love it.
A few words here and there on every language. I'm extremely proud of what Sons of Apollo achieved. Unfortunately, after 2 records, we I'm imagining it's not going to happen any further from this point onward, because obviously, first of all, it's Mike and Derek's band. It's not like something we all called each other. Let's get in the room and let's make a new band. It started with Mike and Derek, so it ends with Mike and Derek. Mike is back with his alma mater. He's back with his family. He's back with Dream Theater. The fans are happy. The band are happy, and this is what should happen. This was what needs to happen. I don't think Sons of Apollo can coexist musically at the same time as Dream Theater. I think we're too similar. And Mike's going to be even busier now because he's back with the band that he was the most busy with his entire career. When he wasn't with Dream Theater, he was doing so many different things like I'm doing, like a lot of us are doing, just to keep his musical chops and to be able to do all the different things he wants to do. Now he can do them all again with Dream Theater, and we just move on and do things that we were already doing as well. I would have loved to have seen Sons of Apollo continue. We had a little boost in momentum before the pandemic happened, and unfortunately the pandemic kind of it flattened the whole thing, and what all the different changes in our lives and in our careers happened when we were trying to get back into the world. So I'm happy for Mike. I'm happy for Dream Theater and their fans, and we're all doing well. Everybody's doing what we're supposed to be doing from moving forward.
Yes, but there is also a huge, it's not a project, it's a band, TSO. You just do, I will say, an homage to Paul O'Neill, just on your Facebook page. It was 5 April. Just how about TSO? It's really a huge band in USA. They tour a lot. How was this experience? And can you tell me just about Paul O'Neill, a great man who saved age, but so it's him. He created everything. What kind of man was he?
Well, starting with TSO, the TSO side of things, and I have to do it in this sequence to explain why I'm doing TSO in the first place. I've never been a musical theater guy. I don't go to Broadway shows. I don't listen to Broadway kind of music and soundtracks and stuff like that. It's never been part of my life. And so therefore I could never think of me doing that kind of stuff, to be part of that kind of in that world. I respect it, I appreciate it, but it's not something that's for me normally. So when I was asked to come and meet Paul O'Neill back in 2007, I was a little hesitant, but I was just let go from Journey. And I thought, you know what, I should check it out, because in life, you don't know if something's going to work unless you try it. There's no regrets. Nothing is a bad decision, because unless you try it, you don't know if it's going to be a good or a bad decision or a regret. There's no regrets, because you learn something from a bad decision. If it's something that's not going to work in the future, you learn from it, so it's a positive. So when I met Paul, I thought, okay, this is not really my style of music. This is not really my thing. But before we recorded one note, we spent 7 hours just talking. We were in the studio. He was giving me so many stories and so many narratives to what this album he was working on called Night Castle was about. He was giving me the storyline. He was giving me the characters. He was showing me. It was basically filling my head with a movie, with a script. This is what is the beginning, the middle, and the end. And all of a sudden, you have this movie swimming in your head. So when you go to sing the songs, now you realize you're in a character. You're not just singing a song. Jeff Scott Soto's in there belting it away, chewing gum, having a sip of vodka. You are now transformed into a character. And the only way that's going to be believable, those lyrics and those songs are believable, is if you are that person. So it's very much like acting. It's like going into Broadway. I didn't think I had that in me. Paul O'Neill knew I had that in me. And once we started actually recording and working together, he brought more and more and more out of me. And I respect the man, and I love him dearly so much, because he taught me there was another side of me that I had that I didn't know I had, or that I didn't even know I had interest to do. And here we are 18 years later, and I'm still very much a part of the TSO family. And I'm so grateful to Paul for his talents, for his I guess his thinking that I could do something like this and it would actually work. You know, he had this feeling, he had this vibe, as he does for everybody else that he brings into his world, or that he brought into this world, because God bless his soul, you know, we don't have him anymore. He had a vision, and we helped him bring forth that vision, and we continue to do so in his honor.
Yes, it was so great guys, really very sympathetic. I have the opportunity to meet him in Paris, and it was incredible. Great guy. Just about, yes, do you remember, I see you on stage on a boat in Paris some years ago. You play a acoustic show. It was in solo, I think, on the scene. Perhaps you remember.
I don't remember the end. Those were the times where we had a bar on the stage, and we got through every show. Everything was great because we only had one bottle of vodka to split between the whole band. So we could all be feeling loose and feeling good by the end of the show, maybe some a little drunk, but we got to the show and the show wasn't bad. There wasn't bad notes or sloppy or falling down. It was just more loose and more fun. But that night we had 2 bottles of vodka, and I'd say the 3/4 point of the show, when we tapped the bottle, that's when the memory just went, whoa. I don't remember finishing the show. I don't remember getting back to my hotel room. I don't remember. I remember waking up going, how did I get here? And then the next day they told me, they waited till everybody left because they didn't want everybody to see the condition I was in, and they had to have 2 really big gorilla bouncer guys carry me to the taxi to get me to the hotel.
So it was a night that you never forget, because it was a huge party.
Night I forgot. It's one of those. It's the answer to one of those when somebody says, "Hey, did you have a good time?" And I go, "Yeah, they told me I did."
And a question, it's very far. Perhaps you remember, it's about your first show with Rising Frog in Malmsteen. It was in Paris, in the Forum des Halles. I remember because I was there a long time ago, you know. But I remember you are very young, of course. And it was a great show. It's a small place, Forum des Halles. Your first show, really first show in Paris. What do you remember, and do you have, if you have, some memories about that?
The only memory I have of that show is how fucking hot it was. It must have been 35 degrees in that room, maybe more. Yeah, I remember not having air. I couldn't breathe. I was sweating more than I've ever sweat in my life. And it was so, there was no air. There was no oxygen. I don't know how the people so close to each other were dealing with it. I'm on a stage where I'm spread up, and I was dying up there. I just could not believe it. I just remember walking away 40 years ago going, how do these people do this? How do they stand and put up with this, instead of saying, nope, we're not going to shows unless you turn on the air conditioning? So I just remember it really, really, really sweltered. I remember the walls were sweating. You could see like condensation coming from the walls because it was that hot in there.
Just to finish, perhaps, and speak about your project for the future. I suppose you are many projects.
Not many. I'm trying to slow it down. There's a lot of things that have been coming out through the years that I did years ago, and now it seems like I'm doing them all now. But they're just things that kind of piled up, and everybody's putting them out now. And it's one week is one release, and then 2 months later is another release. So I've slowed that process down. Although there is a new Ellefson Soto album coming out in May. We finished that late last year, and it's one of those things where the first album we did together was a collection of songs I was singing for David. He was just writing songs. He didn't know what he was going to do with them, but in the end, we had so many songs together that we made an album. We released it. This time around, we went in, let's now have a focus, a sound, a direction. And that's what this new album represents. So I'm excited about that, also coming out in May. And the rest of the year, I'm bouncing around around the world doing different shows. I'm doing the thing as we talked about with Erik Martin in Brazil, and I'm going back to Indonesia. I've got a symphony orchestra show that I'm singing in Vienna. So there's a lot of different things I'm doing, but I'm not necessarily touring for any of my bands or any of the albums that are being released.
Do you finally, when you tour, when you are more younger, I will say, you did some tour with Malmsteen and everything like that. Do you like the life on tour finally? Is it some way of life that you appreciate?
It's gotten better. Back in the early days, it was really rough. But when you're young, you can sleep on a piece of stone, and your back can you can get 2 hours of sleep and still sing the next night. Of course, now as you're older, you demand, it's not you expect, you demand comfort, you demand a level of comfort traveling, and just all of the different things that were misery before and suffering before. They've gotten to the point where it's tolerable now. It's easier to be able to do my job based on the circumstances and the comfort levels that are awarded to me now after 40 years. So I don't look at it as something I dread. I still look forward to it. I'm still excited to do it because everything behind the scenes has changed and is so much better now than it was back in the days. You can play a massive show to tons of people, but if the conditions, the hotel's terrible, if you're sitting in a van where you can't sleep, all this stuff before and after the show has to match the same level of the show. Otherwise, it's not really that interesting to want to go out and do it anymore.
Just a little question about how do you finally take care of your voice? Because your voice is here. You are still singing like very well, I will say, like we can hear on the W.E.T album, Apex. Do you take care of your voice? Are you very serious when you do some show? How you tell me about the Bateau Phare in Paris? This story, but when you,
I've always been very not only respectful to myself, my body, my health, my voice, how it works. I respect the process of how the voice moves and how it shifts and shapes to be able to do what I do. I understand it. It took me many years to research and finally understand it, because when you're young, you just, the same as being an athlete, you start playing basketball or a sport, you're doing it because it's fun and you're naturally good at it. But as you start going in deeper and deeper, you have to start learning the fundamentals of it, so you can not only continue to get better and be good, but you also protect yourself. And I've always been very respectful of that. But just as important, I'm respectful to the people that are paying to come and see me. They're not paying to come and see me be sloppy, drunk, forgetting words, falling on the stage, not caring and leaving the show early. That's not what they pay for. They paid for something that means something to them. They want to hear their favorite songs from that artist. They want to see something that they can walk away and remember. So I always keep that in mind. I respect that. I respect the people that are coming to see me as much as I respect my voice and taking care of myself, so I can be the best version of Jeff Scott Soto for those people.
So really, Jeff, thank you very much to answer to my question and to get this interesting interview. It was always great to hear some stories, like you said, and I hope to see you one day very soon in France, in solo, or I don't know, but perhaps one day with W.E.T. You never did any show with W.E.T. finally.
We've done a few. I think we've done maybe 6 shows total, 7 total since we put this thing together. So yeah, it's not something we're not saying we're not going to do it. It's just we're not going to do it right now. So yeah, you're right. Maybe someday we will finally put a W.E.T tour together, and my God, there's going to be a lot of songs to choose from by then.
Yes. So thank you very much, Jeff, and congratulations for the new W.E.T. It was a great album.
Thank you much, my friend.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Cheers.
Okay. Ciao. Bye-bye.